higher here. I think. I'm good, sister. Thank you. Okay, so I think that's a little better. Uh, I had a Dhamma talk prepared, and I went out on Google to just kind of research or get a Webster's definition of a few words so that we could speak in, language that we understand. And it took me down a whole different path. And that's how it is when one mixes or merges with the Dhamma. One, that sense of self gets lost in the vastness. And so the investigation comes about almost by accident. You're looking for this, but you find this, and this. And that's the great joy of being a spiritual seeker, of being one on the path, one given towards investigation, not the kind of investigation that bears out my thinking about this, not the kind of investigation that backs me up, that has my back, where I can find that it agrees with my thinking. But the capacity to be open and sit before the wonder of everything to find out something. And when it comes, one is almost like accosted by it, taken over by it, and that's how I am right now in this moment. Just by Googling Webster for definition. But there's that space that comes between trying to take that which is written and that which is articulated and putting it into reality. Exactly what is it once we move beyond words that are trying to describe something. It's there where the thought is. It's there where the real life is. It's there where the properties of being exist, not in the words or even in the pictures, even though I bought a picture today. So I want to, let me see here now, how I'll piece this together. I'm piggybacking from our study on the essence of spiritual life from last week. So there's these layers, and in one area, we may only be able to skim off the top. That's as far as we can go. If that's as far as we can go, that's as far as we should go at that time, because to go further thrusts us into confusion. And confusion brings chaos to the whole mass. So sometimes we should just be where we are. And what I love about Toku is like, she'll just say, that's above my pay grade. And she's learned how to set that right, let that be right there. She knows she can come back and revisit it at any time. And what she is coming to know is that once this opens up, or this understanding pops for her over here, then when she goes back and looks at that, then she sees something she didn't see before. So this is how gradually we begin to gain confidence as we walk the path. But it's not just confidence in the path, but it's also confidence in ourselves because we're on the path. And not just confidence in ourselves because we're on the path, but we know that we're confident in ourselves because we have mixed with the path. Not two separate things. This is me and this is the path. there's a place where the self gets absorbed into the past. That's a way, maybe, that's Pandavati's way, one way of understanding non-self. Because we're so busy trying to do something with the egoic mind. And what we is trying to do that? The egoic mind. So it's probably unlikely that the egoic mind is going to get rid of itself. I used to sell Amway back in the 60s. And that was like almost, that's a long time ago. But we had a particular product. I mean, the products were good. The products were too costly. We know the whole deal about that. Go ahead. But we had it's like a gimmick, you could say. I mean, but it was a true thing, so what? But there was a particular product. Does anybody remember, what's the name? Renew. I think that's the name of it. And so we always get a packet of red Kool-Aid, red dye number 5. You know, you get that on your, you spill that on your clothes, or at least back in those days, or you spill it on your furniture, like you just forget, or on the carpet, forget about it. No way to get red dye number 5 out. But we had a product called Renew or Renews it, something like that. And so what we would do when we gave a demonstration and we're trying to get people to sign up to sell these marvelous products is we'd get a glass of water. And as we're talking about the efficacy of the products, we pull out the Kool-Aid packet, red dye number 5. Everybody would shudder in horror, especially if you were giving this demonstration to somebody else's house, because they were afraid you might like spill a little bit of it. Yeah. And so we just take some out and we put some of the Kool-Aid in a glass of clear water. And as we stirred, all the water would become red. And then we would go on and talk about how fabulous the company was, how much money you could make, you know, to have your own business from home. Everybody's trying to do it now, but back then it was seen as an anomaly in that you were suspect if you were trying to have a business from home. But as we would talk, then we'd pull out one of our products. So we have this wonderful line of products. And we're just talking. And we take the top off and a little scoop of this white powder, and we put it into the glass of red Kool-Aid, and we stir. And before their eyes, it turned back to drinking water. Looked like magic. The red of the Kool-Aid completely gone. And if that wasn't wowing enough, then we drink it. So that not only did it have the capacity to remove red dye number 5, but it was 100% safe, so safe you could even drink it. Oh, and they were like, sign up, you know. And none of that was not true. It was just a wonderful product. Now, we might have had many others that didn't quite fit that bill, but all we had to do was sell that one. And everybody was all in. Because it couldn't get beyond. I've never seen anything like this before. Maybe not since, I don't know. We have a few products out there, but I'm always dribbling, you know, my food, wasting, getting something on my shirts, and I spray, and it's supposed to come off with, I won't call these other companies since they're not really working that well. But that one worked. It really worked. And so as we were talking last week about spiritual life, in one sense we were talking about it, is to be free of the power of likes and dislikes. And how wonderful to know this. Because every day the stresses that come into my life have something to do with what may be happening out here, but it has more to do with my acceptance, happiness around, or aversion to what is happening out here. That's where the real dukkha is. And so my question, and Panidima and I have been talking, well, we talk about this every single day, because there's a Christian scripture that says, oh, is it a scripture? Yeah, it is. It says, watch as well as pray. So it doesn't mean that we get so Pollyannaish and do a real spiritual bypassing. We do all the work we can do, and praying has, in the sense, the connotation of thoughtfulness. In our book that we're reading on Tuesday, talked in our last study about all the prayer flags that are strung up all around the dangerous cliffs all over Tibet. And he said, at one time I would have seen that as superstition. He said, but now my attitude has shifted and I recognize it as thoughtfulness around the safety of the people who have to go along and pass. All the time, we're looking when something is. We have to activate this, or it's not a real thing. It's an academic thing. It's an intellectual stimulation. But it's not what will set you free. So I could think about walking out of jail, but only when that key turns in the lock and the door swings open. Is it a real thing? And sometimes it can feel like an enormous weight and responsibility, like, you know what? I'm responsible for my happiness? No, you. No, I am responsible. But what a wonderful thing to know. I'll tell you one thing about knowing it, is you won't allow other people to make you responsible for their happiness. I can tell you that. That's one kind of freedom. And that's half the battle. And half the battle is me, the other half is you. And it brings some comfort, you know. It brings another guest, you know, to the party. It makes us a party of three now. There's my body, there's your body, and there's the truth body. Now, if one has not met this third party, they look around and they don't see. It's just me and you. So today I would like to, I haven't even gotten to the topic. I'm just trying to like put us in a certain space. And if I can do that with the majority of the time, when I get to the thing, it'll like, ding, just go right in. So that's what I'm hoping for. We talked last week about our ardency actually blocking the truth. Sometimes trying so hard to see something, so hard to unravel it in our heads. And so we don't do as much work, necessary work, with just being able to be there and see how it lands on us and see what picture we're looking at. So I asked Kay to print me out a picture today, and I don't think you're going to be able to see it, but you'll understand perhaps from the discussion today. But if anybody who's up close can make this out, can somebody tell me what this is? And I hope it doesn't mess up my whole talk.
It looks like an eagle.
Okay, so who would agree that this is a picture of an eagle?
Very, well, you have to look it up.
Let me see. I'm trying to find what straight is.
Maybe to your
Wait,
right. To your right.
To my right.
You should stay still.
Okay, you stay still. I'll move around. There it is. Okay, great.
It's that camera.
Oh, is that camera?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So we all agreed this is an eagle,
It looks
right?
like
This is a picture. Bald eagle. Okay. So Dhamma said, no, actually, it's a picture of the sky, and an eagle just happened to be passing by. Or, actually, I think he just said, no, it's a picture of the sky. So, one is captured by a particular object that they landed on. And for all of us, it was the eagle. Who looked at this and landed on the sky?
All I could see was blue from where I'm sitting.
Or did you consider this a picture of the sky or a picture of an eagle?
I couldn't tell what it was. I just saw blue.
Okay. Okay.
I noticed the color of the sky.
Okay, so now that we've told it all, we're trying to get to the sky, the sky thing. But that is, it's a very important lesson, because we've been talking for weeks, but sometimes something doesn't sink in and it just becomes a part of our repertoire. You know, we've been talking about seeing what's not there, or asking ourselves, what else is here? And how withdrawing from what we can so obviously see and understand withdrawing from that allows the possibility of seeing a bigger picture, a larger picture, of seeing something else, of knowing something else. And then that which we see can be placed into the backdrop or the forefront of more of the totality of what is there. Does this make sense? So when he held up this picture, or a picture, he said this: good and bad, happy and sad, all thoughts vanish into emptiness, like the imprint of a bird in the sky. What a great Dhamma talk. What a great revelation. You know, we don't just have to have personally, like all the revelations. Something can be revealed to us, you know, through somebody else's experience. And then it's, oh yeah, I see it too. That's how insight comes. Sometimes it comes just merely by the pointing out. And then, yes, of course, I see that. I understand that. I get that. So I wonder how we can take this teaching with us today. When we leave this hall and something comes to our attention, something that we like, okay, but something that we really don't like, can we put it into a context of that which is greater than that which allows that thing to just appear as part of the tapestry? We make it the whole thing. And this causes our unhappiness, our anxiety, our suffering. And misery loves company, so then we start getting on other people because their unhappiness, their anxiety, and their suffering. The lessons are not complicated. They're simple. But we have to have a certain confidence and a certain, give them a chance. It might be true. Relationship with them. So my talk started with a passage from John Jesus said, when he, the Spirit of truth, is come, he will lead you and guide you into all reality. And so I was thinking, how great, or how much greater is a guide than a guidepost? Sometimes we see a sign or we get a message and it says go that way. But they couldn't, if it was a person, I could say like how far to go that way. I just want to make sure I don't miss it. Can you give me something to look for? Can you, but the sign just says arrow pointing, go that way. Or how uninspiring, I could say, instructions can be. And how very cold commandments, rules, laws can be if we think that we are created for them as opposed to them being for us, to help us. And so when we get these things a little mixed up and twisted, we stumble and we fall. We go to the left and to the right. We meander, we turn around, we go back. But how wonderful it is when one has a living guide. So when the Buddha was about to enter into parinibbana, they were saying, oh, who will be our teacher now? First of all, they were imploring him like, don't go, don't leave yet. And Ananda said, stay. And he said, I'm done. He said, Buddha out. I'm sorry, I just watched a former president give his last speech. And it was so wonderful. Everybody thinks leaving is so sad. But, I believe better is the end of the thing than the beginning. Actually. If we could think that way, we're always starting something, doing something. But what if we thought better the end than the beginning? When one is finished and, can surrender all their laboring and efforting, can come to the conclusion. That's too much like death for people. That's why we don't like endings. We like beginnings. That's because we don't know what the hell's going to happen. But if we had known in the beginning it was going to turn out like this, probably a lot of things we began, we'd be like, that's all right. Sometimes funny people say, are you having fun yet? Naturally, I am. And especially now, as I'm coming to the end. So could we think about that a little bit this week? As we see things beginning and ending. And just think about how we relate to what we're gonna do. And see the difference hold the ending. And it takes a kind of vision to be able to do that. So like when I would talk to Panyadeep about things that we could do, ways we could support and help, I was always talking about the beginning. He was always talking about the ending. And I could hold the ending because when the vision was given to me, I saw the ending. I saw that I wouldn't be at the ending, but I saw. And I saw that what I saw would not come in to manifestation if I didn't do the things that was necessary at the beginning. But yet, none of it is mine. So can you embark upon something that you don't take as yours? If so, you're at the beginning of this path. Because first he teaches boundless generosity. That we cultivated the ultimate heart of giving. I mean, that's a silent post. That one is like it hurts if we look. If we're concerned about what's for me, mine, in this life, we can know we're going to have some suffering to go through. Just so you know, like so when it starts to rise up, you can just hold that and work your way through it, because there's nothing else I can tell you but the same thing I'm telling you now. And then one day when that just starts to get to be too much for you, you'll let it go. Or not. And that's not being cold. I was talking to a teacher. She said basically, dang, Padwadi, you're so cold. That's not being cold at all. No. But it is seeing things more clearly and not from a place of grasping. Not from a fear-based place. Yeah? Not from a place of clinging, not from a place of confusion, not from a place of denial. And because Panyadeepa could be with ending, he didn't mind starting. It takes that whole expanse of vision, like not just the bird, but the whole picture. So I'd like to, when I read that scripture, when he, the Spirit of truth, is come, he will guide you into all reality. I started thinking about this difference between a doctrine, or teaching, and I started looking up individual words. And when you get stuck on Google, it's hard to get off. So then I looked up the word spirit, because, like we don't really use that word. That's not a Buddha speak, It may be in this diaspora. And if words are designed to try to get across like a notion or idea, then we should maybe have some understanding of the word, and the word is not the thing, it's that and more, but it's like a go in that direction. So I looked up the word spirit, and and Webster defines it as the vital principle or animating force within all living things, or that which gives life. So if we thought of a spirit, or the spirit personified, spirit is that which animates or gives life. So it said vital principle, the vital principle animating force. So then I looked up principle. And it said a fundamental proposition that serves as the foundation for a behavior, for an understanding or belief, or chain of reasoning. So that includes everybody. That includes being able to understand principle for the intellectual, for the woo-woo person, because it just talks about a fundamental proposition that serves as a foundation for how you unpack and understand life. And something began to formulate around this. Because the Buddha said when he was dying, and they said, who will be our teacher? Now, who will you appoint as our teacher? And he said, let the Dhamma be your teacher. Like Jesus spoke of the spirit of truth. And so there's a transformation then. There is something that comes into manifestation that walks with you, is what I'm saying. That's more than words on a paper. And so within the Vajrayana traditions, they have sort of broken it out in a way. Maybe it's kind of vaguely there in those, in the canon, that those words and sayings that we have captured. But they made it more explicit, which I think is very useful for making progress on the real path. And the one that brings up principle, a foundational proposition, the foundation for a chain of reasoning, for our behavior, what governs, motivates our behavior, and for understanding. So they broke out the body of a Buddha into 3 bodies. Sounds a little bit like something that came later, doesn't it? Yeah. Like maybe a Trinity. I mean, we don't have to look far to see where fingers are pointing, but we get so stuck on the finger that we miss the whole thing. But they talked about the Dhammakaya, the Nirmanakaya, and the Sambhogakaya of the Buddha. And they spoke of the Dhammakaya as the unmanifested, unconceivable aspect of a Buddha, the body of reality itself, without a specific delimited form. And that's the teachings of the Buddha, the teaching body. Oh, hear me now. The teaching body. But if it is the whole vast sum of it all, like maybe the sky, then it gets unnoticed until there is something specific to latch on, like the bird in the sky. And this, we talk about the Namanikaya, an appearance. You know, and when if you think about it, you know, like we're all kind of like mini Namanikayas, you know, because there's been a manifestation of this based on cause and effect. And so it's not like Panurati traipsing around life after life after life. But as there is the playing out of karma, we take something and bring it into manifestation, and there is a body. Could be human, could be Deva, could be an animal, could be, but suitable for the fruit. And that we think of as the Namanikaya. And when it's spoken of within the sutras, not like us who are like just stumbling through samsara, but ones who choose at any time to organize and constitute a body for the sake of saving living beings. Not just human beings, living beings. Not just this world either. I think I was reading something from National Geographic the other day, and they spoke of there being, this was I think like 20 years old, so I don't know, it's a kabillion now, but it was talking about 100 million world systems. And so when the Buddha talks about these things, and we're talking about 500 BC with no telescope, no Hubble, no nothing, but yet, with his expanded vision that could see beyond the bird, he was able to speak of these things. And then we have the Sambhogakaya, which is the enjoyment body. So if in a way we recognize that there is this manifestation, call it me, call it you, but that this manifestation is just a part of the Dhammakaya, which is the sum of it all. And if we follow the path, it reveals the third aspect of the enjoyment body. Because we always think like, are we having fun yet? The enjoyment body. It refers to an idea that when one has eyes to see, there is another world before them. a world that is full of all kinds of beings, celestial beings, Buddhas, bodhisattvas, Dhamma protectors, teachers, embodiments of energy, enlightened and unenlightened. And that this whole bigger world, like the sky, is present here and now. And we are in the midst of it. So this whole bigger world hidden in plain sight. From who? From those who are not awake. And we may become aware of this larger world only in glimpses here and there. We call them insights. Sometimes we call it, moments of bliss. These glimpses. But if we can abide in it more and more, we find that even in the midst of all of the birds that we see in the sky, birds being these ugly things, these things that hurt, the things that scare us, even the things that cause us sorrow, actions perpetrated on others. Yes, I see it. Yes, I've been, I was going to say I've been a victim of it, but I'm not a victim. Yes, I have experienced it. Sometimes still do. Nevertheless, I see the sky. So the great promise for us is, as we stay on the path, and I mean really on it, that there is this invisible world becomes visible to us. And we leave behind the confusion. We see a world of not just ugliness, but also a world of beauty. Without aversion to the ugly or grasping that which is beautiful. We see a world of power where we're thinking we're so without power. We see a world of meaningfulness when we think everything has lost its meaning. And suddenly, we are free. It becomes not anything that we can't handle in the course of a day, because we recognize that whatever that thing is, it's merely a bird passing through the sky. As Trungpa Rinpoche said in his Sadhana of Mahamudra, good and bad, happy and sad, all thoughts vanish into emptiness, like the imprint of a bird in the sky. So, I'm actually 5 minutes early, and I would open it up for sharing, but I think that we got an extraordinary lesson today. Let things just stay settled. I know I'm talking soft, I'm sorry. It's like really in presence. Something tangible and real. One automatically lowers one's head, lowers one's voice. But take any little piece of this today and keep it with you, not as a guidepost, not as a teaching, but as the teacher and as a good companion, the guide. Okay.
I was gonna scream it, but you crossed it on that one. So I'll keep it soft. Thank you.
Oh, I'll tell you, we are growing. We're really